What's up, party people? Welcome to Deep in the Plus. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside, and happy to be here with you tonight talking about the beloved baseball movie, The Natural. Now, if you've never seen The Natural, no, we're not talking about The Natural. We're talking about The Sandlot. What's going on, guys?
Patrick You're killing me, Whiteside. You're killing me.
You're using that line, dude? Come on.
I mean, you got to get it out early and often, you know?
Yeah, I guess so. So with us in the chat is Coach Layton. And hey, Coach, you know what? You manage that chat and make sure that you call us on anything that we do wrong here, please, because I know you're a huge fan of The Sandlot. So The Sandlot is not a Disney movie. I don't know if you knew that or not. It was originally
I didn't know that, yes.
Yeah, it was originally a Fox movie, Patrick. And, you know, Disney, they shelled out some money. I think it was just to get this movie, don't you think?
I actually think it was Sandlot 2 they were after. You know, the big hit Sandlot 2?
You're weird. Okay, so, you know, this movie came out in 1993. You were like 7? Is that how old?
7?
Yeah.
No, 7. I was 12. This was right in the money spot for me. I am the target demographic.
Okay. And the movie itself takes place in 1962. With some boys who are just playing ball on the sandlot, and they don't seem to ever have somebody to play against. They're just practicing for God knows what, and then so they're out there and they're doing their best. And this new kid, Smalls, moves into town, and
Scotty Smalls,
he wants to be a part of the whole team. And Benny, the leader, he's a kind-hearted soul. He says, hey, you know what? Let's get Smalls in here. Let's give him a chance. And does what Scotty Smalls' father/Bill/father can't do, which is to teach him how to catch and throw. And he does it like that. He does it the Benny way.
Man, there was something incredibly off-putting about having Dennis Leary in that role as his stepdad, his dad.
His stepdad, yeah.
Yeah, his stepdad, and it just was uncomfortable because it was Dennis Leary. I don't know if it had anything to do with choices he was making, but yeah, that was tough. Does this movie have a plot, Rob?
You know what? That is something that is, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was halfway through the movie and I'm thinking, there's not a journey here, right? In a lot of cases, there's, you know, in the opening, in the first act, something happens, parents die, something horribly goes wrong, something goes missing, whatever, usually in the first act, and then you spend the rest of the time chasing that down. It's a buddy movie. It's a road comedy. It's something where there's actually a beginning, middle, and end. This one, no. I'm like, you and I are on the same page on that, because as I'm watching it, I'm like, it's just kind of like a time capsule of 1962, right? And what it was like.
It's just a thing that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're right. That is a great point. I put that down, and you know, when I was making notes, is that it feels like it doesn't really go anywhere. It's not a straight mission story, right? And they have a mission from beginning to end. Now, in Act 2, or I guess right in the middle of the movie, I don't even think it has 3 acts. In the middle of the movie, that's when they go for the whole chasing down the ball, which we can get to in a minute. But until that point, it does not really have anything other than to be just a glimpse into what it was like to be a kid in 1962 when you moved to a new town. So,
and you want to learn how to play baseball.
Yeah, exactly. And baseball was life back then.
No, football is life.
That's the other thing I wanted to bring up, and you're right there, because Ted Lasso, Danny always says football is life, and when I heard them say baseball is life in this, I was like, did Ted Lasso rip off The Sandlot? Did he?
Oh, man, I don't know. Ted Lasso might be the greatest show ever made, and I mean that sincerely.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. So we were talking about like what the plot is. It feels like that other baseball team should have been introduced in the beginning, and we should have built up to that. I'm just watching this, and listen, I did not take any less enjoyment on this viewing than any other viewing, but I'm like, nothing happens. I guess eventually we get to the ball, which we'll get to, but like for the most part, it's just some kids hanging out. And could you even make that movie today? What would that look like? There's no movie that's like this anymore.
No, I don't think so. I think you're right. And again, Except for chasing after the Red Ryder BB gun, I feel like Christmas
Yeah,
Story
okay,
was
I can
very
see that.
similar in that
Yes.
way, where it's just a glimpse into what Christmas was like in that time period, and they go from place to place. And again, if you take away his mission to get the Red Ryder BB gun, that thread, the rest of it just happens to be a time capsule of that time, and they're showing you like, what was it like to be at a department store at that time, and what was it like to be in school at that time and stick your tongue onto a pole,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So I feel like that's as close as I can get. And maybe you're right, same time period, maybe they just was it, I don't know if it was lazy, or maybe they were focused on the wrong thing. I don't know. Like, again, you're right, if you rolled this out to a test audience today, would it even make it past the test audience? I don't know, but we love it.
Yeah, no, it's really good. This director writer started off his career in kind of an amazing way. He became one of the highest paid people when he wrote Radio Flyer in college, and he got paid, I think it was like $1.8 million, which, in $92, that's a lot of dollars, to write and direct the movie Radio Flyer. Ultimately got kicked off the movie, and his second movie is Sandlot, and his third movie is another great Disney film. It's First Kid. So, like, that's like a big triumvirate for kids who were in that, like, 8 through 12 range during that time. I mean, David Mickey Evans kind of wrote our childhood,
Yeah, and I will say too that we did a review of First Kid, and maybe there's some similarities now that I'm thinking about that one too. It's again what it's like to be the first kid, as opposed to there being an arc of some sort. Because I don't think there's really an arc in this one. But I will tell you that in watching it from the very get-go, it was Stand By Me. It was you've got a narrator. He's going back in time to a time where he and his friends were doing something. But at least in that one, there was the pilgrimage to the dead body. Whereas in this
that's a really, really good comparison. I didn't draw that right away, but it's like wholesome. Stand By Me.
Yeah, and it was spooky how, like, just like that, I was like, that's what I'm feeling. I was trying to also insert a little bit of the Wonder Years, and again, I think the only common thread there is the narration and the time period.
Yeah.
So when this opens up, it opens up with a guy, and he's walking through like the halls of a baseball stadium, and then he's reflecting on Babe Ruth, but then he narrows in on this picture he's got on the wall of his friend. Don't disrespect the babe. No. All right, look, I'm gonna have to put you in timeout. So when it comes to this guy's looking on the wall, and he's taking us back in time through the picture on the wall of he and all his good buddies, and he references Benny specifically and how Benny helped to get him out of a pickle. So at that time, we don't really know what I'm just kidding, Patrick, come back. I don't really know, we don't know what the pickle is, but from this point, there's a lot of foreshadowing. He keeps talking about being in a pickle, but again, we don't get there till halfway through the movie. He also, there's the moment where, like, Dennis Leary or Bill is, like, putting the baseball down on the stand, and they kind of focus in on it. And
Chekhov's baseball.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, pay close attention to this. Yeah. And so, there's that. And then there's the Junkyard Dog, where the Beast, where there's that foreshadowing when he's like, what's back there? Gee. And so all of those things, having watched it, now you get an idea of where it's going and what's happening, right? But before then, you didn't know when you watched it the first time.
So when you mention it now, it all comes together in my head. But when I'm watching the movie, I'm not putting that together. And I don't know if that means it's a poorly crafted movie or an excellently crafted movie, that I forgot about all those hints. There's the scene where you're talking about Babe Ruth, and he clearly doesn't know who it is. And he's like, oh, I thought you were talking about the great Bambi. And it all kind of ties together, which is, I think actually it makes it a little more, I think it's a better sign of filmmaking than a worse sign. I think that it's well done that they're able to kind of put those past us.
Yeah. Coach said in chat, Benny's a fireman now. Don't look him up. There was some problems. He was he was charged with something, but we won't talk about that. So when before we go any further in this, my friend, because there's too many things that I want to ask you. I want to hit you with some trivia because this is your childhood.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is your childhood, right?
Yep.
And so, are you ready for me to hit you with some trivia?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Are you though?
I'm ready.
Okay. Here's the thing that I found interesting, and I don't know if you're going to be able to pull this one out of your, let's say, hat. But the house where Scotty Smalls lives has a house number on it. Did you pay attention to the house number? It doesn't really mean anything, but they show it constantly.
No.
Do you at least know the color of the house?
I feel like it was blue.
It's pink.
Wow.
Which stood out to me. It was really weird. It's 1556. It was pink. I don't think that you would have necessarily noticed that. In the beginning, I was talking about this, where it talks about where our narrator comes in and he sits down. And I assumed that the guy. I didn't look up the guy who was the narrator, and I didn't look up the guy who was the call in the baseball game. But I don't know if it's the same dude or not.
It's not.
Okay.
It is not the same guy.
Yeah. So
the narration is done by the writer-director, and an actor did the call at Dodger Stadium.
Well, there you go. See, and I thought that might be the case. So he sits down, and he starts writing out the scorecard for the game. Do you know the two teams that were playing?
Oh, it's the Dodgers and the Giants.
Dude. Yeah, Circle gets the square on that one. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Benny. They talk about his full name 3 times. What is his full name?
Benjamin Franklin Rodriguez.
Boom, nailed it. Wow, okay. Babe Ruth, who you've already established you love, they name 5 nicknames for him. 5 nicknames for Babe Ruth. Can you name?
Yeah.
How many can you name?
Sultan of SWAT, the King of Crash, the Colossus of Clout. I mean, obviously the Great Bambino, but that's where they kind of start with. There's another one, but I got those. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got the Splendid Splinter. That's the real greatest baseball player who ever lived, Ted Williams. Also one of the greatest Americans of all time. The only person to be in 2 professional sporting Hall of Fames, Ted Williams.
So anyway, stop it. So anyway, I'm not sure you're going to get the rest of these.
All right.
I'm not.
Okay.
When they go to Wendy Peppercorn's pool, which we'll talk about, what's the name of the pool?
No clue. That's a really good question.
Pool Valley Vista Park is the name of it. Because when they're running out, the sign's right there, and they hang on it. The Beast. Do you know how many people, when Squints is telling the story of the Beast, he says how many guys have been lost in there, and he gives 2 numbers. The first number, do you know?
I know they said he killed 1 kid.
Right. He says 120, and then he says 173. So that's a little random. How many baseballs do they say that the Beast has taken?
Man, this is tough. I remember when they got them all, they said they could play, forever.
Forever.
Let's say like 326.
Wow, that's really specific. 150 is what they said.
Okay.
That there was 150 on there. So 2 more, and because I know that you come from radio, you should know. You should know. Music should be a cue for you. When Squints tricks Wendy into kissing him, what song is playing?
It's by the Drifters. Every time you see Wendy Peppercorn on screen, the Drifters are playing.
Wow. That's impressive.
I do not know the name of the song, but I know it's the Drifters.
This Magic Moment.
Yes. Oh,
because it kicks in with that magic moment. Yeah, so there you go.
Man, when he opens his eyes and makes eye contact with Ham, I was dying. I do not remember that at all.
Bonus, final question.
Sure.
Because you love this movie with all your heart.
Mm-hmm.
There are 7 dwarfs. There are 9 kids on the Sandlot. Name those 9 kids.
So you got Scotty and Benny, Ham, Yaya, Squints, Tommy and Timmy. The guy who got really into the 60s, I can't remember his name. Denunez. How many did I get?
8. Yeah, Ham, Timmy, Tommy, Squints, Benny, Smalls, Denunez, and don't say Sneezy. It's not Sneezy.
Oh, who is it? It's like a G name, right?
No.
No, I got nothing. Go for it. Let me know.
Bertram.
Bertram got really into the 60s.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's an in joke because the actor got cast in the show the 60s.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit. Let's pivot a bit again from the story and talk a little bit about the actors. You mentioned Dennis Leary.
Yeah.
Dennis Leary did look super creepy, and it almost like he was a modern day stepdad, like the scary stepdad. So, I mean, was he typecast there? I don't know, because he's a weird, scary looking guy, and I think as a comedian, he was, whatever he was.
Yeah.
But
this is one of his first turns as an actor, not playing a Dennis Leary type character. Like he's playing a role here. It just felt so weird.
Yeah, this was his 5th movie, by the way.
Yeah. So you have the fan. Oh, what's that? The Ref before this.
Ref was after.
The Ref is after this. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
The big one is Loaded Weapon 1.
Oh,
not
God,
Lethal, Loaded Weapon.
I know.
1. Yeah.
That's like Loaded Weapon and Hot Shots, and I remember that genre of film. Scary movie, and jumped off it. Yeah.
And then with Tommy Davidson, he was in a movie called Strictly Business, which was
I know that movie. Yeah, that's actually not a bad movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he was kind of creepy looking in it. And then Karen Allen as the mom, and to my knowledge, Karen Allen. So he's Dad/Bill. To my knowledge, Karen Allen is only referenced as mom in this movie. So I was going to try to pull that one out as a trivia question for you, but I think it's just mom. So yeah, and she was a very progressive mom. Yeah.
It was a very interesting dynamic. Like she was trying more to get Bill to accept her son than her son to kind of accept the stepdad. It was very, very interesting. It was a weird dynamic, especially if you think about the time, 1993. It didn't feel in place, especially for a 60s movie.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're right about that. It should have, but I don't know. I think there was a little bit of that in there that she, definitely wasn't pushing Bill too hard, but just enough. So, maybe that's the ticket there. I don't know. So when we see this movie on Disney Plus, and you look at the stars of the movie, Art LaFleur is listed number 1.
Yeah.
What? Why? He has 18 seconds in this movie where he plays Babe Ruth.
I don't know, but he's played Babe Ruth multiple times now.
Yeah. So I mean, he played him in Field of Dreams, right? Or no?
No, he was somebody else in Field of Dreams.
Oh, Chick. He was Chick in Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very strange, and I don't know. But here's another problem I had: is he's playing Babe Ruth, but yet, and I don't understand this. All of the pictures we see are actually of Babe Ruth. I don't think they do that anymore, right? I mean,
usually you'll put the actor in there.
Even in the freaking movie Annie, the guy who's playing FDR, they don't use footage of FDR and then show you that dude. It's just
right.
So that was strange to me that they show a lot of pictures of Babe Ruth through this thing, right?
Well, and they even doctor the picture of Babe Ruth. I think it's Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth and somebody else it's Jimmy Fox, but they make it James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
Which he should have lead on that in the credits, but I noticed a lot of James Earl Jones movies he prefers to get the and.
Oh, did he tell you that?
No, I just pay attention. That's what I do.
Yeah. It was very strange to see that. And then of course, like you said, James Earl Jones. That was an interesting take on it too. Having James Earl Jones in there, and like you said, kind of faked into the into the picture.
Oh, and then how many of these kids got typecast in sports movies? You have two that go on to be Mighty Ducks. You have Ham, who goes on to what one was he in? He was in one of the was he in the soccer one?
Yeah, he was in the soccer one.
Yeah,
it wasn't heavyweights. It was.
It might have Ladybugs.
No, it wasn't Ladybugs. Anyway, yeah,
the Big Green.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I was looking for that picture of the baseball players together, but I don't see them because you said Jamie Foxx is the actual guy.
No, Jimmy Foxx. He was a player for the Red Sox.
Oh,
and a couple other places, but yeah.
Well, now I don't care.
All right.
All right. So I mean, again, a pretty good cast, but the kids don't really go anywhere after this. I mean, they're again, like Coach mentioned, like
Ham is in Son-in-Law, which is one of my favorite terrible movies.
So again, doesn't really go anywhere. But then, you know, Benny the Jet became a fireman. Yes, I know he became a fireman coach. I'm just saying, but he also...
The good thing about this cast, like, they're all really good friends still, which is really great to see. I mean, we see it with the Mighty Ducks when, spoilers, you see some of the original Mighty Ducks in the TV show. These guys understand the bond that was made making this movie, and they kind of respect it. The great picture of the guy wearing the "You're Killing Me" Smalls shirt, and when Ham and Smalls come up to him and he has no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to the story again. So Scotty's moved to this new town, and now I have Scotty doesn't know in my head. If you know the song, you should.
Baseball. He doesn't know baseball. That's for certain.
So he's got a broken. He's got like basically a toy mitt. He's not even a real mitt. He doesn't know anything about baseball. He's trying to fit in with these guys, and he goes out and there's just this awkward moment where he's out in the field, like he's just kind of like trying to be out there. They try to include. Yeah, they try to include.
It was horrible. I felt it. It was
Yeah.
The chills. I was like, oh, please stop. It's not working, buddy.
Yeah, if you were a nerd like I am, you related too much to him, so much so that it was painful. And so he's out there, and he's trying to fit in, and they all look cool, and they're all a unit, and then, you know, he's horrible, and then he can't even throw the ball, and then he goes home. He's like trying to position himself, which, you know, you talked about, like there wasn't a big, we don't know what happened to his dad. I don't think we don't get a lot of setup about where that other team came from, but also for this, there's a very specific way he stands, like he's been taught this way to stand, and they don't explain that. It's just like he's trying to position himself in this way so he can throw, and then eventually Benny, when he, you know, teaches him, he just says, you know, just like you're, you know, tossing in a newspaper, just throw, which of course we all know how to toss a newspaper. So
obviously, because we all watch Newsies.
Obviously, yes. So when he's there, he's trying to fit in. Things don't work out so well for him. He goes back home. He's very sad. His mom says, "You need to go get friends." He's like, "Duh, mom." And then I tried to read what it was on his pajamas. That was like something that was driving me crazy. I couldn't really make that out. There was very nondescript. I was like, "Is it Lone Ranger? What has he got on there? What would have been the time period?" And then Benny comes and gets him and says, "Look, come out, like come be with us." And Benny's like, you know, a true leader here of this team, but he's not the cool guy, which he could be. I mean, he's a talented baseball player. He's a good-looking kid. He's a nice guy, and he goes out and he gets him and brings him in. The other guys don't want it. And then once he kind of coaches him a little bit, and now he can play. He's welcomed into the group. It's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, we're good. But he gives Smalls his glove. He gives him a hat, and he gives him fashion tips. Like when you come back, throw on a t-shirt and throw on some jeans. Not this thing you're doing here, kid. And he basically can't buy me loves him.
Oh, I was gonna say
like that.
She's all that. She's all that, Tim. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the really cool thing about this is they brought in Smalls and Benny before everyone else, so that these two got to know each other, got to work with each other, that they really had that tight bond when all the other actors showed up. It's a really, really brilliant job by, I don't know if it was the director or the studio who made that call, but very, very good call in that point in time because you felt that bond on screen. It was really, really authentic.
Well, okay, so this takes me back to a question that I had. Are these good kid actors?
I always thought God, I got to call him by his real name and not Jesse Hall. So give me 1 second to get back to where I was. The guy who plays Denunez, I always thought he was a great kid actor. I thought Ham was a good kid actor. I feel like he was really typecast as a chubby kid, and what a chubby kid has to do in that situation. I don't know if I feel about anybody else. Like, Yaya had a relatable face. I don't know if he was a good kid actor.
Well, I think Squints was not a great actor. He was a good character. He was a good character. Yeah. But I don't think it was awkward. And, when he would take off his glasses and do this and put them back on, it was just like, it was overplayed. And it just but I guess as a character, he was good and necessary for it. But so that's where I had some of that. You're Killing Me Smalls line comes up twice.
Yep.
Which I don't know that I remembered that it came up twice, but it's like when he says you want some s'mores. So they're playing baseball, they lose the ball. Scotty's going to go get it, and then they pull him back and say no, you can't. And he's like, why? And they're like, camp out. We're going to camp out, and they go. And
that was awesome.
Yeah.
And what a moment that was. Yeah. It felt so authentic to childhood.
Right, exactly. It's like, wait a minute, guys, what do we usually do in this? Camp out. That's what we're doing. It's happening. Round up the team. We're doing a camp out. And so they go and they do their camp out. And that's when he tells them the story of the Beast. By the way, before this, we find out that he doesn't know who Babe Ruth is. And so he writes down on a piece of paper, the Great Bambino ? And at this moment, I was
Captain
thinking...
America?
Right. At this moment, I'm thinking, what we take for granted today about, we could just look it up. Yeah. Like, we could just ask. Man. Like, he doesn't want to ask anybody because he doesn't want to be embarrassed. We can be at some kind of like a dinner or something and just pull out our phone and just like without like showing, look something up and then go, oh yeah, it was the eighth president of the United States. You said Martin Van Buren. Yeah. No, everybody.
Van Buren, the eighth president. Yeah, you got to know that.
Yeah, everybody knows that. So you can pull that stuff up now, and it's just another snapshot into that time frame, that time period. But even in '93, that wouldn't have been an everyday occurrence. It would have been an AOL dial-up.
So he would have had to go to the library in '62 and get an encyclopedia or look through some microfilm or microfiche. Like, who the heck is this Babe Ruth?
Yeah, you don't want to do that. So they go to this camp out, and the camp out is basically all of them hanging out in a clubhouse. And I don't know that they distinguish whose clubhouse it is.
It feels like it's at the Sandlot, right?
Well, it has to be because it overlooks. It overlooks, but I feel like it has to belong to one of them, right? And the Sandlot is like their house is there, right? Because Mr. Myrtle's house is right there behind them, so there's got to be a house.
But Mr. Myrtle's house used to be a junkyard. Is it completely a residential neighborhood? I know I've played baseball in areas that were just like commercial areas. So yeah, that's another thing. Like,
let me see what that what that's zoned for.
What are they zoned for at the Sandlot?
Yeah, it's crazy. So I don't know, but that was weird because it was very conveniently right above where they could see the Beast, but it was not mentioned whose it was. And again, not something you would have questioned in 1993, right? Like, we're looking at this through 2021 goggles. In 1993, you wouldn't have said, "Oh, whose house? What are they doing? What are we even doing?"
How did they just get a treehouse on their baseball field?
And it was a nice treehouse. Like, that's the kind you always wanted to have, was a treehouse like that.
For real.
Yeah, I never had one. But so they're in the treehouse and they're telling these stories, and he does the flashlight under his chin and telling about the Beast and these great little comic cutbacks to the oversized dog, like with a huge like stuffed paws that is like in their head who the Beast is.
Yeah.
And even at one point early on when Smalls first sees the shadow of the Beast, it's a dinosaur. It's like a T-Rex. And so, like, they really play up like this thing being huge. So the payoff is huge when you finally actually see the Beast. But so they show police as like Keystone Cops, like this old like 1920s style goofball hat and stuff like that. It's really weird. Yeah. So it's great. It's a great thing to stop in the middle and tell that story. Which again, there's a piece of that in A Christmas Story. So again, another parallel back to that. But they're in the treehouse, and he's telling the story. And first, Smalls, sits down next to Ham, and Ham has a table set up where he's like, do you want s'mores? And he's like, I haven't had any yet. And it's almost that whole Marty McFly joke back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, s'mores. And then he shows him how you make one.
And then he says mallow, really funny.
And then he eats a bite of it and then gives that one to him. Doesn't he know about COVID?
No, he does not. He lived in a peaceful time that he didn't have to deal with this nonsense.
I don't know that would be a problem with COVID, but I just think sharing food
honestly,
is weird.
I don't like sharing food. Period.
I don't either. Yeah.
Give the boy his own s'mores. Also, pro tip for anybody out there: Reese's peanut butter cup. That's how you make your s'mores.
What?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that
Write
in my
that down.
notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then that's when he does the "You're killing me, Smalls." Then he tells him the story, and then the dog. There's a name on the trailer that the dog is in this story. Why is that? It says Sam on it. That's not his name. His name is Hercules. Why did it have, very specifically says Sam on the trailer? Why is that?
I have no idea, and I did not notice that, but I know next time I gotta come correct and make sure I got all my trivia ready.
I mean, am I going too deep in the plus here?
No, I don't think you're going. This movie, you need to go deep in the plus on because everybody knows the basic elements of this film. It's so ubiquitous in pop culture that you gotta find stuff that people don't know about.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, I mean, that's what we're doing here. But the guy that they see in that flashback as Mr. Myrtle is a really fat white guy.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I don't understand that either. If you could explain that to me after the show, that would be great.
No, after the show sounds good. I'll let you know.
So
buddy.
you see, here's the trailer that apparently Mr. Myrtle kept Hercules in, and the Beast, and it says Sam on the front. I don't.
Maybe it was his name was Sam?
Who?
Mr. Myrtle's name was Sam?
Oh, maybe. Could be.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, all right. I'll allow it. So they have that whole flashback scene, and then they go and they get a new ball, and then Benny knocks the cover off the ball, and they were thinking that's a good omen. So then they go to the pool, right? So they go. No.
Pool was before the whole cover off the ball thing, I believe. Because the cover off the ball, immediately the next thing
Right. Okay, so let me back up a second then. They do the s'mores, they do the story of the Beast, and then they go get a new ball, and when they're walking back from getting a new ball, it's just the two boys. They run into Wendy Peppercorn for the first time.
Right, yes, you got it.
Yeah, so in doing that, they establish Wendy as basically the babe of the time.
Yep.
I don't. Who played Wendy?
That is Marlee Shelton. She is a California native, daughter of Carol Strom, a teacher and singer.
Oh, right off the top of your head, huh?
Yeah, not staring at her IMDb page or anything. She actually just did the new Scream movie that's coming out, and she was in the Manhunt TV series, so she's been in a lot.
Okay. So anyway, Squints is in love with Wendy, and so they head back to the Sandlot. When they get there, it's super hot, and that's why they don't actually play. And then they go to the pool to... What are they going to do, though?
Babe Watch? Did they say something like Babe Watch?
Scam pool honeys.
Yeah, scam pool honeys.
Yeah, they're going to go scam pool honeys. And I love... This is my favorite Ham moment, though. When he's walking along, ladies, how are you? What's going on? Is it going? Yeah, okay, cool. Too much confidence, love it. And then
it was great.
And then he yells, "Cannonball!" Jumps in, and then they all get mad at him. It seems that moment, and this I'm going to throw an old school reference to you. Reminds me of John Belushi.
Oh yeah, I was actually going more Rodney Dangerfield with that. I thought you were gonna what was that? Back to School with the Triple Lindy. He feels very Dangerfield in there, but I could see Belushi too.
Yeah, I mean, he feels like a very Belushi-esque thing
Yep.
to me.
Yeah, I could see that.
He's got, like, again, sort of this unearned confidence about him. He's like, hello, ladies. How are you?
He is a
Okay.
cute kid, though. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like, he has a look at those cheeks. You just want to, yeah,
Do you, though?
yeah,
That'll get you arrested, sir.
right.
Yeah, exactly. So then the big scene where Quince is like, I can't take it anymore. He's in love with Wendy, who happens to be the lifeguard at this pool, and he's like she's lotioning and tanning and lotioning and tanning or whatever, and he's like, I can't take it anymore, and he goes and he gets on the diving board, jumps into the pool and sinks to the bottom, and she jumps in to save him, and basically he knew that she was going to do that. He's been planning this forever. She makes out with him, and he's a god. He's the best. Then later on in the back half of the movie, when it's all over and they're like, hey, here's where everybody went, they say that he married Wendy. There's
They have
got to
9
be
kids.
there's got to be like an 7-8 year difference in though.
Yeah, it seems about that because she's like 18, 19, and they're like 12, 13. So yeah.
Yeah, so that seems a little, yeah.
And again, we talk about viewing things under 2021 lens and like the consent involved in that, and it's a little creepy, but at the same time, it's a kid, so it's different than like an adult pulling that.
Yeah,
and also good.
But if you swapped it and it was Zac Efron and some younger girl,
Could be problematic there too.
yeah, see what I'm saying? Yeah, even if it was
also, she did not do CPR correctly. Like, you start with chest compressions, you don't start with mouth to mouth. And if you really don't want to, you can just do compression only CPR in that situation. You're not going to like siphon water out of somebody's mouth. That's not what mouth to mouth does. Hi, I can say that as your your certified Red Cross CPR and first aid training instructor.
So this isn't correct?
No, good form there, but she would have started with the chest compressions. Mm-hmm. And when she pounded on his chest to try and get him to, have signs of life, it would have hurt and he would have gotten up. You wouldn't be able to just kind of roll with that.
Yeah. Yeah. When you come at Patrick with CPR, you need to come correct.
You better come correct.
You better come correct.
30 compressions to 2 breaths. You're all certified now. Not really. Please don't hold me to that.
Gotcha. Okay, we learn a lot on this show, folks. We learn a lot. Please give us a thumbs up for this great man's CPR lessons. Give us a thumbs up.
Yeah,
You haven't
we need
already.
Those thumbs
we need
up.
those thumbs up. We're addicted. We need them thumbs up. So, and again, thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. So
we appreciate everybody here.
Yeah. So they went to Scam Pool Honeys. They had to do the cannonball. Squint sneaks his kiss. Then, big time, it's the night game. They got the night game going on.
Oh, man. Oh, I forgot about that scene. And how magical is that scene? And that kind of like, that takes us to everything. Let's bring it back to the parks. Like those fireworks, that feeling, that the instant youth that you're standing there and just kind of watching this, and this is their chance to play under the lights. There weren't lights at Little League stadiums at this point in time. There were barely lights at Major League stadiums. So it's just a truly magical moment of childhood, and I really, really felt the nostalgia in that scene. It was so, so good.
See, my nostalgia falls more to this part of that scene where Ham is on his way for the night game and he stops by the table to just shove food in his mouth. That's where my nostalgia lies. By the way, go ahead.
That's my America right there. Like the whole block is out and everybody's just sharing food, man. That's what I like. That's the good stuff there.
Very Rockwellian.
Yeah. Oh man, I love Rockwell. We could talk about that. Is there any Rockwell movies we could go deep in the plus on?
Like, I was talking about, like, Norman Rockwell. Are you talking about Sam Rockwell? Or are we talking about Rockwell, the singer? There's someone always watching.
Was that Rockwell? I thought it was Rockefeller.
Rockwell.
Michael Jackson, uncredited in that song. There's someone always watching me because the dude, Rockwell's father, was like a big up at Motown. I'm just spewing facts today. You're getting all these for free.
Yeah.
Most people got to pay.
Barry Gordy.
Yeah.
Was his dad. Yeah.
Very
and this is me IRL watching Happily Ever After.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Shout out to Arlo, who was watching it without the fireworks today and still says, man, that's a good show. And it really is a good show. I didn't like it at first because I had such an emotional attachment to Wishes, but I'm going to miss Happily Ever After.
I'm with you. Same boat. I feel the same way. And there's a lot of things that were very special about that one that, as Tom has mentioned before, maybe if it's horrible, people will demand that they bring it back after Enchantment, after the thing is over. But, we got to give it a chance. It could be great. It just isn't what we expected it to be. That seems to be the theme a lot these days, doesn't it? But you know what we can count on? The Sandlot. So they're having a night game. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're having a night game through the fireworks, but they don't play too much because they stop and ooh and ah over the fireworks. And then that's when they said, for Benny, baseball was life. And that's when I was like, Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso, that's like immediately. Football is life. Instantly.
Football is also death.
Okay, so anyway, this is when the bad boys of baseball come on the scene.
The next morning we get the bad boys of baseball. So here's my question to you. Is the movie trying to make a bigger statement than I think I've ever noticed before? Is that team, the other team, is it all white? And is that why Benny isn't on that team? Because it feels like everybody knows he's the most talented kid in the neighborhood. Like he should be on the team with the nice uniforms and the nice stadium and the nice scoreboard.
No, I think it's just that white kids are awful.
I mean,
yeah.
Let's not anger too many people. Well,
no, I don't. I honestly, I don't know if that was the lesson
because I was like, giving.
Here, yeah, they're all on one side, and it's this is a great picture of them. There's not. I don't have a
Benny. Everybody's throwing down their stuff, and Benny picks up the bat. I'm like, that's a smart kid. If things are about to go sideways, that's what I would like to have by my side.
I feel like this is that they're the rich kids, and I could be wrong about that because they've all got bikes, and they're nice bikes, and they've all got uniforms, and they've all and all that stuff, and they've got the nicer field, et cetera, et cetera. So I
there's somebody there who's racially ambiguous, so it's not definitely all just like the rich white kids.
Yeah, no, I just assumed this was like the.
Yeah, Colleen in the chat said it was the money. She thought it was the money thing too, and that might be it.
Yeah, I think it's the rich, snotty kids. And, that's the other thing about this is that they, all of the boys who are on the Sandlot seem like they're in the same place, which I think was good. And Benny is the one who is the giver. He's given the hat. He's given the glove. He's got Babe Ruth in his closet. He's got all of it. He's got the whole thing. But, yeah, it's really... I think it's that they're the rich kids, and then when they go to play them, which this is my favorite part of the movie, when Ham is trash talking.
Oh my God!
The other players.
I was that tubby catcher behind the plate, trash talking. Oh man!
It stands the test of time. That insult thing is so good. I mean, and you know what? He's insult. They do the insult thing at first when they're challenging them, and he says to him like, you play like a girl, and that was it. And so
the record drop.
And they've been trash talking a lot at that point. But when he actually goes to, and he's the catcher, and the guys step up, it is so freaking good, and that's literally I think my favorite part of this movie.
See, I think my favorite part is the camp out. I really like the camp out, and I think that gives me like real Stand By Me vibes when we're looking at that, because that's basically when they're doing the pie eating contest story in Stand By Me, and of course I think that might have been one of the first times I realized that other people knew what s'mores were. I thought it was just something that my family did, so it was cool to kind of have that moment.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So then after they win, they go and they celebrate at the fair. This one, I could have done without this scene.
Totally could have done without this scene.
We talked about like this whole movie is just like, a look into 1962 as we're moving through it. But then, and at this point still, they haven't yet gotten to their mission. But as they're moving through it, this little subset of it isn't necessary to the movie. It doesn't carry it forward, doesn't get called back to, isn't really necessary. And I don't know what a Trabant is.
Oh, I had that exact same ride at my town carnival. Literally the exact same ride. The Trabant. It was one of my favorites.
Trabant. Okay.
Yeah, Trabant.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It's fun in two different directions. Like the whole base moves one way and the ride vehicle move the other.
Okay. So
Yeah.
at the carnival is the second dose of You're Killing Me Smalls, because
Yes.
they bring a bag of chew and he's like, this is, and he's like, what is that? He's
Big
like,
Chief, the
"You're
good stuff.
killing me, Smalls." Second time. So when they do that and they put it into their mouth and they get on the thing and they're chewing and everything, you just know where it's going. But
Yes.
I didn't need that. Like,
No.
like I didn't need to see the aftermath of that on the ground. Them turning around, making the noises. I don't know. There was just something about this one to me that didn't seem necessary.
No.
It
You didn't
seem-
need to make the subtext text in that situation.
and it didn't seem super funny. I mean, you kind of knew where it was going the whole time.
Was it 1993 funny, though? Like, gross out humor was big, right? I think.
Yeah, I mean, Porky's. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Bonus points if you can tell me what song was playing while the Tilt-A-Whirl was going.
I can hear it, but I can't name it.
Tequila.
Yes, I was thinking because I was like, wasn't this like the Pee Wee's Big Adventure thing? Or we kind of, but yeah, they did multiple releases of this soundtrack on vinyl. Like people apparently love this soundtrack, and there's good background music, but there's also really good songs in it.
For Arlo's sake, I'm going to ask you this question, Patrick. Now that you mentioned
Sure.
that,
Yeah.
should there be a Sandlot the musical?
Oh my god, it would kill. It would absolutely kill. Because the people that have disposable income right now are the people that watch The Sandlot as kids. And I mean, this could be a whole Newsies style revival of it. I think it would be amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, there's got to be a song called "You're Killing Me, Smalls."
Oh, absolutely. And You're Killing Me Smalls reprise. You
Duh,
know,
you're killing me, Smalls. Da 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 da. Yep. Okay. Cool.
you don't
We're
know
done.
who Babe Ruth is.
Yep. We're gonna not air the rest of this thing, and we're gonna take it off.
Patent pending.
Exactly. They go to they're at the carnival, or as it's called, the City of Fun, which I thought was interesting. Like, couldn't do better than that. Okay, cool. So they're at the City of Fun. That's where they bought the ticket booths and the tickets and everything. And Benny paid because he wanted to like treat his team because he's the team captain, and that was
Yeah.
good on him. And so then the next day is when everything goes south. And at this point, we are literally halfway through the movie.
And it's a short movie.
Yes, exactly. It's like an hour 42 minutes, and here we are halfway through it when we finally get to find out what's the pickle, and it's the biggest pickle of all time, Patrick. The biggest.
But it's not even a pickle, really. Like, I mean, pickle's a very specific baseball term, and it's not a pickle. The pickle's commonly known as the rundown, and it's when you get trapped between two bases and they're throwing the ball back and forth. That's a pickle. And
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't a pickle. This is just you did something egregiously stupid, and now your friends are trying to bail you out.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it's halfway through the movie. Our good friend Creepy Bill is headed to Chicago for some strange reason, and now
For business, what his business is, no one knows. He might be a hitman. That's what it feels like sometimes.
don't ever ask me about my business. Yeah, it is unclear as to what the business is, but yeah. So they had just gone to buy a new baseball after that. They pulled out their money. Do you remember how much a baseball costs?
98 cents. Come on
There you
now.
go. All right, I'm sorry. It was an insulting question. I didn't mean to ask you that. So this is where they say that it was an omen. They thought it was going to be a good omen. Was a bad omen that he knocked the hide off the ball. They'd never seen that, and then so of course. Smalls says, "Hey, I've got a ball. I can go back to my house and get it." I feel like if balls are 98 cents, Bill would have had a few more laying around because he's got a couple. What was it he was
Thank
throwing?
you.
What was it he was throwing when they were playing catch?
Did they lose that one? Like, dude, you have to have better, what's the word I'm looking for? Problem-solving skills than that. You can't be like, this ball that just sits here isn't something important. You see it in a place of honor. Like this right here, this is my Juan Thomas, who none of you have ever heard of. Maybe Coach has, because we're from the same area around the same time. Autographed baseball. Before there was Big Papi, there was the large human Juan Thomas, who played for a couple local teams. And if my daughter came and just took this and threw it, she would know it's in a case, it's in a place of prominence. You don't just grab that ball.
Yeah, By the way, Emma, I am writing this musical. I am penning. I am penning this musical, and Patrick and I are going to work on it together. And we're gonna. This is it. This is the one. We're gonna make.
We're all in this together.
Yeah. All no. We're no.
No,
We can't. You can't do that one.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to use all of our musical prowess, and we're going to write the Sandlot musical. So they go in. He goes and gets the baseball, and it's the Babe Ruth ball. And again, he's scrolled that out on a piece of paper that says, "Who is the Great Bambino?" He doesn't know that Babe Ruth and the Great Bambino are one and the same. And so he finds this ball at his in Bill's room, his forbidden room, where he does all his killing because he's a serial killer because he's creepy.
Feels like that.
So he's got a secret room you're not supposed to go into. He's going off to business that you can't know about, and he's really busy all the time, and he's creepy looking. So we've solved the mystery that is Bill. He goes and gets the baseball, and he's like, "Oh, well, it's your ball. You're at bat. You get to go up." And he hits the ball, and I love that how subtle sort of it is when he hits the ball.
By the way, that is the worst Babe Ruth signature I've ever seen. It is nowhere near his actual signature.
What? How could that possibly be?
I mean, do a little research, The Sandlot.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway.
Kid goes yard for the first time, man. Like, what are the odds?
Right, exactly. That's the time where he decides to take off. By the way, we never got to see him practice batting. Like, we see
and
where...
they put him in the scene with the montage of playing against the rich team, and he's hitting, and I'm like, what? That's a lot harder than learning how to field.
Right. Let's see. If you put him out in left center versus actually having him at bat, there's a little more pressure if you're at bat. So
a lot more pressure. A lot more pressure.
Yep. All right. So then we see, like, here's the pickle, as they're calling it, is that he hit the ball over the fence. They can't go over the fence. He is now in shock because he's realizing what he has done. This is this special baseball of serial killer Bill's collection, and he is now going to be dead. So then he tells them it was given to him by some girl named Ruth. And then they're like, "Babe Ruth," and then like he puts it together, and now that they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're an idiot." So then they hatch all these plans to try and get that might be the best part of the movie now that I'm thinking about it. What, the plans?
All the contraptions and plans to try and get the ball, and how confident they are until it goes completely haywire.
I've got other problems with these scenes, my friend. I have.
All right, let's dissect this. We have time.
All right. So we'll dissect it. So the first thing they do, because Benny's the smart one, is he's like, we're going to go back. We're going to pull our money together. We're going to sell bottles and whatever it takes to go back to the drugstore to get a baseball to put in the place so that in the meantime, until we get the ball back, no one is the wiser. And so then he signs it with Babe Ruth. And according to you, it couldn't have been worse than the one that was already on there.
But it is, because he put an E at the end, didn't he?
Oh, so he writes it all on there, and then he sends, and they don't even dirty it up, and they send it back with Smalls, and he puts it on the, like, think, people, come on, have you never covered anything up? You got to put some dirt on it. You got to make it look like it's been used.
I will tell a brief glimpse into my childhood briefly because it's a fun story and it's quick. My friend's parents went away constantly, and on a week's vacation. Kids, no, different story. And as kids are wont to do, we threw a party. We got caught because we cleaned too well. So just remember, my brother-in-law years later took pictures of the entire house before he threw the party and removed everything and then put it back according to the pictures. Just, pro tip.
Yeah, okay.
Peanut butter cup on the s'mores. Take pictures before you throw a party. Don't throw a party if you're underage. Be smart.
Take pictures first. Wow. That's psychotic, my friend. So, all right. So then they decide they're going to help him to get the ball, and the first thing they do is they go and I don't know if Squints already had the periscope made out of cereal boxes, but
I think they did. Yeah,
that looked like a waste of time. And then he's up in there in whoever's treehouse trying to like guide them along while they take some of the fencing off of the bottom of the fence and they use a stick to try to get it. And then the beast gets the stick and pulls it in and like tears it apart, tears it to shreds. That I can buy. That's fine.
Okay.
Then they come up with this like long metal contraption with a pan on the end, which is brilliant.
Multiple vacuum cleaners.
No. We're not to the vacuum cleaners yet.
Oh, we're not to the vacuum cleaners yet.
This is the big long metal thing. It looks like the erector that we see later, but it's not.
Yeah.
And it's this long metal thing with a pan on the end, and they bring it in, and they're going to put it over top, and they put it over top of the ball, and they've got it. And we as the audience are like, yes, he's not going to get killed by Dennis Leary. And so they pull it back. And they start pulling it back, and then all of a sudden they're in tug of war with the Beast, and he pulls it back in, and he crumples it up, and he throws it 30 yards over the fence. Now, in the mythology of the Beast, that makes sense, but in the reality of the Beast, what the ever-loving heck?
Yeah, no, that's insanity. The Beast being able to twist metal with his mouth and then spit it out, I guess. At one of these points in times, they said, why don't we just go knock on the door and ask for it? And that's when you get he's already killed one kid.
Yeah. So when we meet the dog, the Beast, how would he have done this? Like, I don't... And again, thrown it like 30 yards. I mean, it's not even...
Where did that concrete come from?
Don't know.
Where is that in the Sandlot?
Don't know.
Who's in charge of continuity on this shoot? Come on.
Don't know, but I mean, it does set up one of the best screen grabs of this movie of all time when they're all around it, looking down at the tangled, mangled metal. So that's a cool scene. But again, I mean, so in their minds and their memories of the Beast, he's this huge, oversized, eating a Fred Flintstone rack of ribs kind of a dog, beast man monster. But in the reality of it, he couldn't have done this, and that's bothersome to me for some reason. I don't know. But it gets worse because then they come up with a vacuum contraption. Would you like to expand upon the vacuum contraption?
No, the vacuum contraption is a great idea. They've now ruined a baseball that's worth several $100s at that time, and now vacuum cleaners, which are also worth probably several $100s at that time. I mean, we might be closing in on $1,000 worth of damage in 1962 dollars. And the overacting and the stunt work by the kids in this scene, though, is just great. It's so on the money.
It's so funny that you would say that, because the first thing I thought of, and again, maybe that's the parent talking, is, do you know how much those vacuums cost, son? Do you know how much the money? I just bought that vacuum. That's mom's brand new vacuum in 1962. Now anybody can vacuum, but in 1962, that's mom's brand new vacuum, and you just busted not one, not two, but 3 vacuums.
Where did they get 3 vacuums? Is it one from a lot of everybody's house? Is one of them like an Electrolux salesman's kid?
I don't know, dude. But again, it's a very comical concept, but the reality of it is weird. And then they're hooked up in such a way that if you fire off 1, the suction goes eh. If you fire off 2, it goes eh. If you fire off 3, it's brrr. It's great. So it's somehow all 3 of them connect because they knew, because they're brilliant kids. They're brilliant, physicists. They know that you need 3 vacuums to pull this job off.
It's a 3 vacuum plan.
Yes. This is definitely an Ocean's 9 situation where they had everything planned down to the detail. So when they go in to do this, the vacuum, of course, gets pulled down. The Beast pinches the vacuum, and then they're about to explode because they can't suck anymore.
Movies?
How about turn him off?
No, they tried that. They said the fuse is blown or something. I'm like, fuses are in houses. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. And then
it does not make any sense.
And then it blows up. It blows up, and then Bertram is the only one left. And this is, to me, his biggest scene, when it blows up and he's like covered in, I guess, everything that was in the vacuums. I don't know. That's a weird one. And then
the Mission Impossible. Did Mission Impossible rip that off the Sandlot?
You got to go. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, they got to take to the skies now. I mean, that's the only way to do it. So it is a lot of work that they've gone into to try to make that work, and it doesn't work out. I did still want to share, though, this picture of Bertram, because again, what was in those bags? It wasn't regular dust? I don't. Do we want to know?
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean,
cigar ash.
If you watch
a lot of cigar smoking.
If you watched the What If episode 3 recap that we did last night, and we talked about what happened to the Hulk, maybe this is how they cleaned him up. I don't know. It could be. So then they do the Mission Impossible where they try to drop the kid over the fence. They get him back. Everybody's fine, and then they go home and they're like, well, we're never going to get out of this pickle. And that's when we get the dream sequence.
Yeah.
So, and then in what? Anyone? A dream sequence. That's right, ma'am. Yeah. So they do the dream sequence where the babe shows up in Benny's closet, and they decide, the two of them, that Benny's going to man up and be a legend and go and get the ball. Then he goes in, he puts on some really nice shoes. I was going to ask you what size the shoes were. That was another question I was going to ask you. They're a men's 10, just putting that out there.
And they're what, PF Flyers?
Yeah. So
and he's the only one. Everybody else wears white sneakers. He's the only one who wears black on black sneakers.
Yeah. Back to the vacuum dust. David Lung says it was asbestos. Yes, you're right. That's got to be.
And Colleen said sand, and that's probably right because they were sucking up sand around the ball. That makes sense.
Yep. There you go. So then he goes in. Benny goes in. He's going to jump in. He goes in to get the ball. And when he sees the Beast face to face, again, at this point, it's still the Beast. He's still frightened to death of the Beast. Even though we see him as the very manageable dog that he is. He's a big dog for sure. But I think what makes it worse is when he grabs the ball and starts running and the dog chases after him. Now, why didn't he drop the ball or throw it to somebody else?
Man, he was pop committed at that point in time. He was like, I'm going to be the hero for this. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go for it. And he went for it. But everybody knows the last thing you should do if you have an account. I'm giving all sorts of, somebody said life hacks with Patrick. I like that. Maybe we'll make park hacks with Patrick. Everything's $1,200. But you don't turn and run from the dog. Back away slowly. If you turn, that's how I got my butt bit by a husky. I tried to run from it. Right on the rear.
That's a horrible story.
It's a cute dog.
So the other thing that happened was that we didn't talk about was they did one other thing, which was the erector set.
Yeah.
And then
they built a robot in 1962 that was able to go through and scoop a ball and toss it. When we barely saw things like that on Robot Wars 3 or 4 decades later.
Yeah. So. But I was just noticing again, where the whole Babe Ruth thing, where Art, he walks into the closet, and you get to see him here, and then there's literally a Babe Ruth picture behind Benny, and and he looks right at it. So clearly, he doesn't have good vision, because he could look at Art and see this guy, and then look at Babe and see this other guy, and he should know it's not the same guy.
It's just a random neighborhood person. That guy's actually dangerous. He stole his Hank Aaron card. It's a bit he pulls. He's hunting down valuable baseball cards. He got a Honus Wagner the other day.
Don't drop references. I don't know. So then you're right. He takes the card into the closet, and he's just like, yeah, sure, babe, you can have it. Yeah, no problem. I mean, not that won't be worth more than
than yours.
Exactly. So then he goes and he grabs the ball, and then he starts on this chase, and he runs through all this stuff. And again, let's talk about the cost factor here. We talk about this in Marvel and the damage that the Avengers have done and the Sokovia Accords and why they were necessary. These folks need the Sandlot Accords because there was so much damage that happened here, not just with all the traps and things that they put together, but he runs through the town. He ruins the 1962 Founders Festival. Ruins it because there were cakes and all kinds of things that were spilled and knocked over, and he led the dog through that. He led the dog through the community center where they were showing a movie, and he ripped the screen and broke the windows, and when he would run through a door, he wouldn't close it behind him, which
What movie were they showing when you ran through the movie theater?
I don't know.
Oh, I reversed it on you. The Wolfman.
Oh, was it The Wolfman? That makes sense because they talk about silver bullets in there. You're right. Okay. Yeah, so it was just very strange, how much damage was being done, and no one seemed scared. And so then they get all the way back to the Sandlot. and Benny jumps back into the cage or over the fence. The dog follows him and then ends up knocking over the fence, and now the dog is hurt, and now we're all sad.
Yeah, super quick. Like, it went from vicious murdering dog to, oh my god, we have to save this precious, precious puppy.
Yeah, and it was very sad, and I didn't care for it.
No.
So, but again, the damage that these kids like inflicted going through all of the, all through the town and messing everything up just because they wouldn't knock on the guy's door. Well, I mean, what's the lesson here?
The lesson, as always, is to be open and honest about how you feel and what your needs are, and try and express them in a calm, direct manner. Yeah, I need that baseball, and you get the baseball.
Okay, so now they rescue the dog. They decide to do the right thing and walk the dog to the door, knock on the door, talk to Mr. Myrtle. They go and he brings them inside. He's a blind man who brings strange children inside his house. No problem there. And then when he comes inside, he's like, I'll trade you. He's like, he's like, I'll trade you this ball, and he trades them what ball, Patrick?
Oh, it's the 1927 Yankees. It's Murderer's Row.
Yeah. So that was like, they're like, well, this is better. Why would you trade? And then he's like, oh, I got lots of stuff over there, and if you trade me, you have to come back and talk baseball with me. And they shake his hand, and then apparently Dennis Leary's mad still. Bill's still mad, but he only grounds Smalls for a week. I feel like in 1962, especially with a very murderous stepfather, there would have been some whoopings.
Man, we talked earlier that mom's a little more progressive, so maybe there wouldn't be, especially, like, that's an awkward situation, stepdad, stepson, and he also gave him a more valuable ball, so, can't be too mad. By the way, James Earl Jones, huge part of two baseball movies, hates baseball.
Seriously?
Yep.
Is it because of the baseball movies he hates baseball?
Probably. I can't imagine. Well, I think The Sandlot was probably fun for him to make, but I don't know. Field of Dreams didn't feel like I feel like he has a lot of boring dialogue in that's not really spicy.
Yeah. Like Field of Dreams, where where the players disappear into the field. After this is done, and it's a happy ending because they got the baseball back, but then they didn't, but they got a better one. But then Bill's okay because he came clean, and now he and Bill are best buddies, and Bill's going to now teach him how to play baseball, even though apparently he knows how to play better than Bill. And so then they cut back to the Sandlot, and they do their, again, very Stand By Me-ish thing where they talk about where everybody goes. And they all, I don't know if you can catch what I did here, but they all disappear into like the thin air. Like, it's a very sad little moment. Yeah,
it didn't feel like the right ending.
No,
and even the kind of coda, that little bit at the end, it also just didn't feel right. It just felt kind of tacked on.
Yeah. So then they come back, as you said, they come back and they're at the baseball game where Smalls is now apparently a baseball announcer and calling the game. And Benny is on the team, which you're glad to see that happened, that he actually became a professional baseball player, and they give each other thumbs ups. And
wearing what number?
3?
Yep, for Babe Ruth.
Okay. Ha-ha! Gotcha. So yeah, that's the movie, and you know what? It's a time capsule, like I said, to 1962, wrapped in a time capsule of 1993. So did we miss anything? I think we went into extra innings, if you will. On
a little bit. Yeah, we got to throw it over to the other show that's live now in a minute.
We did go extra innings, but I do want to see, did we miss anything before we get final thoughts?
I don't think we missed anything because, honestly, a whole lot of nothing happens. Colleen says he steals home, and honestly, that would have been better if he got in the rundown in the pickle. So, he's coming home, the catcher has it, he's running him back, and it would have just been a more poetic end when you're talking about the greatest pickle. You use what you have.
The fade out is totally sad, said Dawn. You know what?
Yeah.
Did you see when they did the game this year for Field of Dreams?
Yes.
And that intro?
It was amazing.
If y'all haven't seen that intro with Kevin Costner walking back onto the field, with the Field of Dreams game that it was like Chicago versus New York, I think, and they came out and they were in like these throwback costumes, and they came out of the corn, and oh my gosh, chills. So it's worth going.
And then
back
the
and
Yankees
watching.
lost, so it was really, really good.
Man, dude,
Yeah.
please don't be polarizing. It's fine. It's fine. No, I'm not a Yankees fan, by the way. I'm a Nationals fan. So there you have it. So anything else we missed before we get into the finals here?
No, I think we're good. I think we should bring it on down. Let's round third and head into home.
Yeah, let's do it. So again, thank you guys. If you're still watching and you haven't given us a thumbs up, please do that. We really appreciate it. It helps people to find the show.
And if you gave that thumbs down, why?
Why? Yeah, I mean, is it for Patrick? Because we don't have to bring him back again. We don't have to.
Go.
No, everybody loves you, Patrick. It can't be that. So, I mean, I don't know why. I think maybe it's just yeah. I mean, you can't thumbs down. A lot of times on this, I can't decide whether people are thumbs down in the content or the movie that we're doing, and so I feel like this is not one you would thumbs down, but maybe you would. I don't know. Maybe they just hate America. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But with all that we've said about this, and it's not a Disney movie, it is a Fox movie, but it is a movie on Disney Plus, so it's fair game for us. We watched it, we discussed it, and now Patrick Hackett, would you recommend this movie?
So I will recommend this movie with a caveat. You should absolutely watch this movie, but this movie is best viewed between like April 1st and like October 1st. In that baseball season, in that summer where you can go out and kind of experience some of what's in the movies. I really think it's a quintessential summer film. It's a quintessential baseball film in a time where baseball films were wildly popular. It's a great look back at 1993 and 1962 by proxy. It's just a great movie, but I don't think you would sit down on like a winter night and just kind of pop this in. It doesn't hit the same, you know?
It hits different? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, I think it hits different.
Yeah, I think, though, you're right. It's a movie of legend, and that's one of the reasons that we wanted to talk about it tonight, is it's a movie of legend. And I think if you don't know The Sandlot, in comparison to Scotty's journey, you don't know Babe Ruth. You know, you don't know if somebody says, "You're killing me, Smalls," you don't know what they're talking about. You're missing out on a piece of Americana, I feel like, because, you know, there was a time where baseball movies were a huge thing, and I mentioned The Natural and joking. We've talked about Field of Dreams. There have been a number, Bull Durham, of huge baseball movies, but this is the one that is kind of the family baseball movie, right? A lot of them, I think my dad would drag me to because he was such a baseball fan. So like The Natural was a very boring movie to me, but it was a good movie. But it was, you know, as a kid, this is a good family movie, and it's not cheeseball corny for the kids only. It's a really good for the whole family movie. I enjoyed going back and rewatching it again. I'm kind of picking apart a couple things about it that, you know, normally you would have a suspension of disbelief, but that's not what we do here. We go a little bit deeper. So I would definitely recommend that if you haven't watched this movie, you should watch this movie. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you're a fan of the movie, and maybe go back and watch it again, you know, and see if we're right and see what you think. So, you know, leave us a comment below. Tell us what you think. Tell us what your memories are of the Sandlot, because it's a lot of people have a very near and dear to their heart connection to this, and I know that Coach is one of them. So make sure to give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't. We have lots of other great content. We've been doing Deep in the Plus spinoff called Episodes, where we've been going through the episodes of What If. We'll probably, you know, see about doing that for some other shows down the road too, maybe Behind the Attraction, maybe some other things like that. If everybody is, you know, if people like it, and they seem to. So we'll do that. Plus, you know, we did Pirates of the Caribbean last week. Go back and watch that one too. But if you like baseball, you should already have seen this movie, and if you haven't, despite what we've said here, no real spoilers, because it's a snapshot of 1962, and I think you'll enjoy it.
And nothing really happens, so, you know.
So we didn't really spoil anything, because nothing really happens.
What can you spoil? Nothing happens.
Exactly.
It's an episode of Seinfeld as a movie for baseball with kids.
Does that go on the DVD case? I don't know.
I would love to get a pull quote at some point in time. If you're watching us live, please shoot your way over back to the mothership of WDW News Today, as Timekeeping is premiering right now. And those of you who are watching later, thank you. We appreciate you too.
We do. So thank you so much. We will see you next Tuesday night for another episode of Deep in the Plus. Patrick Hackett, thank you as always. We appreciate you. And y'all be safe out there and have a great night. Have a great week. Talk to you later.